This show is in memory of the chances of Jared Leto. I don't know why I put my hand up.
You're going to like start the show with a pseudo goodbye to the awards chances of Jared Leto.
Aren't
I
we all? Aren't we all?
I I have a better idea in mind.
Oh, declaring the winner?
Shut up. There's only one thing that needs said right now. There's nothing official yet because everything's still like up in the air, thankfully. I can't confirm anything at this point because it is 11 take a shot 7:11 p.m. and here on the East Coast, and we haven't had confirmation yet via social media. But do want to mention, because obviously first and foremost, before this network had anything to do with movies, it was famous for Halloween Horror Nights, and it was also famous for pro wrestling. And we've been talking about wrestling on this network forever. Wearing my MJF and CM Punk shirt from Revolution. We've been talking a lot about how the wrestling industry is lost at people way, way too early. Um, like I said, nothing's official yet. I do know that as of several hours ago, Scott Hall was taken off of his life support. He's got his friends and family are all nearby, and they're preparing for, sadly, the inevitable. He had three like really rapid heart attacks, and it basically put him on life support. And his family decided just to end it, basically. So he's still with us for the time being, and he's been a big part in my life, in Ashley's life, and to a lesser extent in AJ's life, honestly, because first and foremost, before anything, AJ was a wrestling fan back in the day. He played the video games. He watched wrestling with his brother. He watched wrestling with me. And even though he's not followed throughout like we have, he still knows of the existence and what Scott Hall did for the wrestling business in general.
Yeah, that was like that era of him and Nash and the whole NWO thing was like the peak of when I watched it.
Exactly. And I mean, it all goes back to that first night. He comes out in the middle of a random match and he says, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." And it started the antithesis of what became the biggest stable and changing stable of the wrestling business, the New World Order. We'll never forget. And I feel that to start this show, obviously, we make jokes about Jared Leto's awards chances. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really needs said before we get started, and it's a straight shoot, everyone. Hard work pays off. Dreams do come true. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Kick out, Scott. We're pulling for you. Crazy to think we're in the middle, not even at the middle of award season. We'd be over by now, 100%. If it wasn't for this crazy season we've had. But I mean, we've got a few award shows left, quite literally. But that means the ones that we're talking about tonight and the big one is left, which means there's one big Popcast left, so we get to predict the Oscars. We've done everything. We've finally got everything in order. The guilds are finally going to be announced next weekend in full, so we'll know exactly what's going on.
This weekend, really.
Well, I mean, it's technically next weekend because like we're in the week. Well, we just finished the weekend, so this weekend. So either way, I've already gotten in trouble once for not knowing what the difference between a weekend before, so needless to say, anything's possible. I will say right now that's a very interesting topic to bring up, but we'll talk about that at another time. So this is the end. We're at the end of award season. Now we're at the point that everything is becoming more of a certainty. The surprises are going far, far away. We're getting to be by the books, paint by numbers right now. And this is the part of the award season that is amazing and super sucks at the same time. Because we know no matter what we want, it's not going to happen 9 times out of 10. There's still some Hail Marys that can be thrown, and I'm sure will be by the 3 of us, now that there's no chance of anything happening. Because I'm out. It's over. It's all over.
Well, I gotta say something else on top of you saying that. I'm gonna try to not snowball back into the same old tantrum, but if there is one thing at this point in the season that keeps the race exciting, it's the tech categories.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
The ones that aren't going to be on the show.
We saw how well that worked last time.
Yeah. And they seem to really, really be doubling down on that choice even more than usual.
I mean,
I think the last thing they said about it was, we're sticking to it because we're not going to make everyone happy anyway.
No.
But I still don't know who these imaginary people are that are saying cut categories out of the show. We want to see more of the stupid shit. I have no idea who these people are or if they even exist.
These are the same people that thought what we saw last night in 2 separate award shows was funny. We'll get to that later. Do not worry. My brain cells are still leaking out my head right now from what happened last night. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Hell, it'd be like if your brother was getting beaten the crap out of and you decide to come out and just go,
time to dance.
Yeah.
Matt's getting his ass whipped. Jeff has to dance first. It's the truth.
I could not tell when Taye Diggs was doing a bit and when he, like, there were times where Taye Diggs was visibly cringing. I really can't tell if that was part of the bit or not.
We don't want to talk. We'll talk about that later, don't worry.
You remember how I said I don't want to hate this person based on one job, but remember how I said I did not know who Taye Diggs' co-host was when I heard her name?
Yes.
I'm ready to continue my way of life as it was, not knowing who that person is.
She is. I'm gonna say this actually because you remember me saying this last night, and I'm gonna say it again because it's now for the benefit of those listening on the Popcast network. She reminds me of a failed person running the backlot tour at Universal Studios Hollywood, with the unfunny jokes that are on script but not, and just the same blank stare, dark skies personality.
And there's only one reason why people know who she is.
Say it.
And his name is John C.
Oh my god, it's been way too long since I've heard that. It's just like the chin lock horn. I miss it so much. So, well, that's a weird way to start the show. Say hello to the podcast, man. It's time. My name is Owen. Joining me, as always, we have Ashley. Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, your lawnmower sounds tell me that you're about as interested as I am right now. Also joining us, we have AJ.
I'm going to use this intro to further defend Taye Diggs real quick.
Okay.
Because when he was doing the show by himself, he was obviously given a lot of cringy material.
Yes.
But he was so committed. I felt like he gave like a tongue-in-cheek vibe to it a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was just completely unable to accomplish that with what was going on beside him at all times. And that's why I said I can't tell if his cringing was part of the bit or not.
In another way of saying it, just in another wrestling vernacular speak, it reminded me of when Todd Pettengill hosted the Slammies.
There was one point where he started singing and literally just ran off the stage. I want to say that was unplanned.
Oh, you mean like Michael Keaton making his bathroom reference that went over a lot of people's heads that didn't watch the award show previously?
Oh yeah, we've had run-ins with the people that see Critics' Choice as a big show. No way those people are watching SAG.
That's true.
or even know what SAG is.
Even though it's on the, depending what channel you watch it on, it's on the same channel. Because
Yeah.
SAG is on TNT and TBS, and Critics' Choice is on the CW and TBS.
See, here's the funny thing. On my vantage point, I don't know if AJ can see it or not. Ashley, this may hurt you in the long run, but you're giving me like shoot Max Headroom vibes right now because I see like.
Oh wow, yeah. What the shit is going on there?
I don't know, but
I know. That's. Hang on. Am I gonna have to
take a shot anyway? All right, let's go to chat. That's another thing you want to think about the Popcast Network, and it's the one thing that we'll always hang our hats on is the fact that we have a very awesome and lively chat every single time we do a show, no matter if it is a show. And, well, we turned into Laura Barnes. Anyway.
Oh, no, don't say that, for God's sake. No.
Actually, you're not taking. Get your hand away from the blender. Anyway.
I think. Oh, no, it's coming back. What the?
You're going to do the Emma dance.
It's the curse of me doing the thing, isn't it? It's like, wherever we go wrong.
What?
The thing with the, the Jeff Hardy dance.
Major PBR. Go ahead.
Since Ashley's like running the show, do we also look fucked up or do we look normal? Because you look normal to me, and I look normal to me.
The annoying thing is you look normal, so I've just realised. Hang on. People are still watching Isle of Dogs at the minute. Because I forgot to do whether this will change anything. Let's change from automatic to US East. See if that fixes the blooming issue. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. Regions.
Props, by the way, for the Max Headroom reference. That was perfect.
Really good, sir.
What was that bit when it randomly hacked into what Super Bowl? Oh no, it's doing it again. Is my graphics card fried?
Okay.
That's the only thing I can think of. Unless it's because I didn't update OBS.
That's not good.
I can't be asked to do that. So I'm just going to be Max Headroom for today.
Oh my god. This show's going to go the longest we've ever gone to just because of the references and the fact that I can understand Ashley. Do the fist bump. Do it now. Anyway. There you go. Take a shot. Anyway. Chat room. We love you. We really do. And we appreciate every single comment that comes across our way, unless you're not showing positivity. And then you know what you can do with your hat. Josie, welcome. Says, so happy Licorice Pizza won the BAFTA for original screenplay. Same here. Fingers crossed it wins the Oscar. I think it's a good bet at this point. Its main competition not being at WGA is probably going to be helpful.
And I feel like Branagh losing at BAFTA
That's a
means
big
they
deal.
they really went for Licorice Pizza screenplay. I hope we're still.
Ashley needs to show back up right now wearing his black mask in the darkness, like doing the Bray Wyatt thing, because then we'll think that he's being possessed by Laura Barnes. Because we're doing we're doing this today, ladies and gentlemen.
When you said Black Mask, I was just thinking, oh shit, where's Mitch Pileggi? It's the masked magician.
Heck yeah!
But he's a stunt granny.
Thank you, Nick Mackay.
Yeah, I've really got to draw attention to this now that you've done it twice. Everybody gets on Unfriended's case as being this terrible, horrible horror movie. The name Laura Barnes still makes my blood cold. Like I'm flinching when you say that.
Dude, it's all I have to mention.
Especially when we're in this format.
Yeah. Well, the great thing is I gotta have like Spider-Man coming in through the window to attack me right now, so we're good. No one cares that much. Take me out on the third floor. Plus, Laura Barnes to you is probably like yard work is to me, so I understand how you feel. Makes me shake. Josie says Licorice Pizza is now more politically relevant than ever with the gas crisis. It's not only a teen love story, but a satire on the supply chain and to an extent election campaigns. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Hollywood? Come on. Josie finished reading The Cat Who Saved Books. Sounds like a delightful story. That was great. Now I'm on to The Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan, a high fantasy novel inspired by ancient Chinese mythology. Ancient Chinese mythology, huh? AJ, you knew I was going to go there. We need more Calgon. Anyway. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. So that's why I looked into this, because I need information before I go any further. Josie asked the first question of the night. Favorite boat movies?
Does Jaws count?
According to this, it does.
Oh, well, obviously there's Titanic, of course, which I'm a major sucker for.
It's annoying because it's a Zootropolis, Zootopia issue. Because you only know it as pirate radio.
Yeah, it's the boat that rocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over here, it's the boat that rocked. Like...
I know, that's the copy we watched online, was the boat that rocked.
I was gonna say the copy we saw was the boat that rocked. My DVD is pirate radio.
Correct. Lots of good boat movies. Obviously, one of the ones I'm gonna throw a shout to in Ashley vernacular is dude, I love Captain Ron. I don't care.
Yeah, there's an obvious one I totally overlooked. I mean, my first choices would probably be Titanic and Jaws, but Captain's Courageous really needs a big shout out. That's like Spencer Tracy at his Spencer Tracyest, and that's.
I mean, there's some good stuff just looking at the Lisky here. I mean, Life of Pi is really good. Really good.
I just rewatched Master and Commander last year, which is still great.
Still has an amazing standee that to this day will not be topped.
And Captain Phillips. Here's the thing. I don't know where people stand on this, or if they count as boat movies. I'm assuming they do. Because I've gone on this before, but aside from The Hunt for Red October, I'm not very into submarine movies. Like I just can't get into them for some reason. Like Crimson Tide did nothing for me. U571's like kind of a guilty pleasure, I guess. But we talked about the Jude Law movie, Black Sea. I really wanted to like that, but I found that hard to get into. I don't know what it is about submarine movies. I just can't get into them for some reason.
What about the obvious submarine film? Yellow Submarine.
Batman.
I gotta be I gotta be totally honest. I actually haven't seen Yellow Submarine.
Oh,
Is that one?
that might be why.
At first, I was like Richard Iowati, but that doesn't have a submarine in it, does it?
No.
Well, there's a Life Aquatic.
Mm.
Yep. Yeah. What? Say that again.
Life Aquatic,
Steve Zissou.
which I got to talk about the other day on a sip and snack that's not on this channel yet.
I thought you were saying Life Aquatic didn't have a submarine in it. And I was like, say that again.
Okay, I once again, because I was paying attention, because I need to have advanced knowledge of this. Josie asked once more, in honor of Drive My Car, what are your favorite road movies?
Well, the first thing that jumps out is any of the early Farrell Brothers movies,
Mm-hmm.
which makes me love the fact that his Best Picture win is also a road movie. I really love Rain Man a lot.
Yes.
All right, let's see. The search is just bringing up new movies. That's not helpful.
I typed in
I
road
mean,
movies.
if
Where we go?
we're sticking with Dustin Hoffman, Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah,
Little Miss Sunshine.
That's a good
certainly
one.
more so, yeah.
Oh, It Happened One Night, of course.
I guess to some extent, Thelma and Louise.
Dude, do you honestly?
Yeah.
What about Ready to Rumble? Technically,
I mean, yes. Yes, but also, yes.
Oh. Oh,
And-
of course. Shout out to the Muppet movie, of course.
well, I'm a tad bit biased for multiple reasons, but for different circumstances. If you want to talk a road movie, the thing that comes to my mind immediately is Elizabethtown.
That makes one of us.
And without mentioning Elizabethtown, I have to mention something else as well. Another road movie that, of course, I'm kind of impartial to is Zombieland.
Yeah.
Double Tap is definitely a road movie.
Also, shout out to John Hughes with Planes and Automobiles and Vacation, obviously.
Just not that one.
There's so many good. That's the thing is, whenever you talk about Old Boy, everybody's really quick to say, "Oh, not the Spike Lee movie," and just like we say, "Oh, not the 2015 Vacation." Just as a note, nobody's ever talking about Spike Lee's Old Boy, and nobody's ever talking about the 2015 Vacation. just to make that clear.
True.
I'm surprised there is something that Owen didn't. I mean, okay, it's not actually a movie, but considering how so little happens in it, the 8 hours that is Penn and Teller's Desert Bus.
Desert Bus does not count. It's a game. It's a game from Smoke and Mirrors that Sega CD games never came out, and every single year they do a charity stream to see who can play Desert Bus the longest.
It's no different to me going to the cinema, except you just have to keep pressing left on the control all the time.
God, yeah. So you have to keep it under the right speed, and if you get to the destination, you get a point.
Yes.
Paul.
A few more here that need shout outs are The Straight Story, the G-rated Disney movie by David Lynch with Richard Farnsworth in his Oscar-nominated performance, and 2 comedies that I really love, Tommy Boy, obviously.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I really love The Sure Thing, the Rob Reiner movie with John Cusack that, made me fall in love with Daphne Zuniga. Because I hated her so much in Spaceballs, it was jarring.
I mean, I'm seeing a lot of options here that I don't consider road movies, but there's a lot of stuff that I really like on here.
Yeah, for some reason, The Wizard of Oz is here. I mean, I guess the Yellow Brick Road counts, but that's not.
Wizard is in here, but I'm talking about The Wizard.
Yeah.
That's definitely a road movie.
The Fred Savage Christian Slater movie that was a Nintendo commercial.
The Mario 3 commercial, yeah. Did you mention Cannonball Run?
I was going to say Cannonball Run, obviously.
I was going to say just the first one. The second one was like, no.
Right.
Oh fuck! Oh my god! Did any of us say Smokey and the Bandit? Oh
Not
shit!
yet, but I will be.
Okay.
And I will be getting a
Oh.
Fathom event of Smokey and the Bandit in a few months, and I cannot freaking wait.
Considering you brought up Jaws, AJ. Duel?
Duel. Yeah. Definitely.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Follow That Bird.
Yeah, because I was kind of putting it in a box because initially when I think road movie, I just think like, being in a car, but it's like immediately the Straight Story takes that out. So
I don't even know how I didn't mention it. I feel like such an idiot right now. Jay and Bob. It's literally the story. It's going to Hollywood to stop the movie from being made. Come on. Oh, there's so many great ones. I get a lot of, God, I'm looking at things. I see a lot of things in chat. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, I love these little comments here. Almost makes me think that we need to do this on the regular somehow. I don't know what I'm saying, but you might want to stay tuned to the end of the show tonight. So,
well, who do we know who all here already?
We'll get there. I see some
like
new people.
If we know our regulars are here, we may want to say it when we know they're here.
Not everybody. So Josie also wants to say rest in peace, William Hurt. What are your favorite William Hurt performances?
History of Violence is number one.
Oh God, he's amazing.
Jesus, Joey.
Yes. his whole 85 to like 88 run is insane. And I do just want to mention real quick. Apparently, a lot of people were not surprised because I guess he'd been battling prostate cancer since 2018.
Right.
This caught me off guard. I don't know that I knew about that diagnosis, so I was surprised when I saw the news.
Same. I mean, if it's what I think, oh man. I'm looking at this. I want to make sure. Because I see him. Where are you? I don't remember what he played in it off the top of my head, and I don't want to say that wrong, so let me make sure he's in it. I'm looking. Give me just a minute. Nope. Forget what I said. I will find an answer for you in a second.
He also has an underseen movie that I quite like, which is The Doctor, the one where he loses his voice.
I just find it ironic that obviously one of his big ones as part of that 3-year thing is what launched the career of Marlee Matlin.
Yeah,
who's
That's true.
becoming the figure. Well, if she wasn't already the figure of 2021, she's now the figure of 2022.
The fact that we lost him on the night that Coda was having a really good night is very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
BAFTA are like, couldn't you have announced it a few days before? So it's like we put our in memoriam up, and it's like we can't put him in until 12 months' time.
Yeah, History of Violence is definitely going to be up there for me, but I mean, Mr. Brooks.
Yeah.
I like Mr. Brooks a lot.
Another very underrated movie.
Oh, totally.
I'm making sure I didn't miss anything here. Dark City needs a shout out, of course, always.
God, there's so much chat stuff. I'm trying to get to it, guys. I really am.
Yeah, he was literally just like one of the only good things about The King's Daughter. I hate that that's the last movie on his filmography, even though it was shot like fucking 7 years ago or something. So technically, his send off was Black Widow, I guess.
Okay, so let's get into it. So it's interesting how coming full circle, he started alongside Marlee Matlin in Children of a Lesser God,
Oh yeah.
winning Marlee her Oscar. Now she's supporting Troy on his campaign.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Wow, that's really profound, actually. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want to bring the mood down because we want to honor her, but I had heard like you hear stories about their relationship and how it wasn't great, and I guess they were both like deep into vices, and like the night that she won her Oscar wasn't completely glamorous because of this. But I don't want to go too much into that because it's past, but uh yeah.
Sure.
Just if you want a downer, just Google it. But we won't do a downer here.
Let's see. Take a shot. So Brian says I didn't see much of the 2010 movies last week. Only Nebraska, Philomena, and Ida.
I still love Philomena.
I like Philomena too.
I don't remember the last time I saw it, but it's so powerful, and I love that. I just love that Steve Coogan's an Oscar nominee, by the way. Just throwing that out.
I just like speaking of the trip. There you go.
Yep. We didn't mention the trip. That's blasphemous.
See, that's annoying because obviously where you guys are, that's a movie. Over here, it was a 6-part television series, it eventually came out to be.
At least once a week, I will say the line, "Gentlemen to bed before we rise at 9:30-ish."
I just like his Michael Caine impersonation. Can't forget that either.
It's their favorite thing.
Oh, I know. Just sitting in the car talking about it for hours.
If you haven't, please look up. I think it's in one of the movies, but he also talked about it on Graham Norton. You need to look up Rod Brydon's story about Mick Jagger. That is a must-hear story.
Considering the fact that the quintessential story about a Rolling Stones member still permeates in my head to this day, I might as well add another to the list. Josie says, speaking of wrestling, a little bit more martial arts than wrestling, but she mentions that. I love the emoticons. I'm sorry. They're amazing. What's your favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie? Street Fighter.
I don't know if I can say unironically. I actually do really like Bloodsport. I thought he was a great villain in Expendables 2. He might have been the highlight of that movie, actually.
In all honesty, just because it was so out there, JCVD, when it has just that 20-minute bit in the middle where it's basically just him sort of talking direct to camera where everything was pausing around, where it's like him sort of like doing a memoir of his life, and then it's like, I'm back to the fighting and the killing.
So keep in mind, when we're doing the live chat right now, and this is what propels this show, and we love that about this. So it's going to keep us in tangents for a minute before we actually go into the award show, which the less said about the better for lots of reasons. That's why everything's going to be out of order. So we talked about something a minute ago. We're going to go back to it, and then go back to it, and go back to it, and we'll eventually get there. And we just got to get through every single comment to make sure everyone gets recognized. I like that. Brian says, I did finish watching all 4 of Craig's Bond movies. This past weekend, I saw the original film Coda was based on La Famille Bellier, and a.k.a. the Bellier family.
Yeah, which when you realise that film didn't use deaf people for all the characters, it sort of feels a bit... when you can see deaf people doing just as good a job as not deaf people, it's like, look, this is the case. I'm looking at you, James McAvoy, for what was it? Inside I'm Dancing.
That's not as bold statement there, Colin. I have to bring the references. It's what I do. So, yeah. Speaking of that, I'm actually going to get a nice little rewatch ski of Coda sometime in the next 2 weeks, which I'm super excited for. I think it actually might be Oscar weekend. I'm not exactly sure off the top of my head, but there is 2 times it's going to be showing in the Cinemark around here. I'd watch it a lot more than that if I could. Brian said the original Robert Wise and Jerome Robbins version of West Side Story was yesterday.
And we need to I would say we need to talk about that, but we might be able to in depth at some point if all goes according to plan.
Yeah,
I still don't know why we're holding back on this.
I think it's fun actually.
These
Jillian
aren't the
Venison,
droids you're looking for.
I just got. I might as well just start it now. It says Butter Parks. There we go. Ignore my face. I'm terrible at shaving. That's how it works. Anyway, Jillian Renison, which I've never seen that name pop up before. My apologies if you've been in chat before. Thank you for joining us tonight. Said happy for Joanna Scanlon.
Hell yeah.
Like I heard that twice. That's how adamant you were.
I mean, it might be because I, called it and all that, but also, considering having seen that performance and, when we look through Wikipedia to try and get people's reactions to that ceremony, somebody said, why was she nominated? And it's like, did you see the film?
I think when I got super butthurt about people missing actress, I remember you saying that specific word to me. Did you see the movie? I'm like, no, I didn't. Same response I give you every single time.
To quote Iron Sheik, exactly.
That's why it's a lot better to find if you're gonna do awards discourse, be sure to find a group that isn't one of those people. The ones that say oh, because nobody saw it, it's not worth what it gets. I have no idea how you can possibly have that way of thinking. Where does that even? I guess the arrogance of it. Where does that come from? That if you haven't seen it or heard of it, that it doesn't deserve any kind of. Because isn't half the point of awards is to say, hey, here's some shit you probably missed. This is why you should see it.
And my Twitter feed, just like you mentioned the other day, is full of nothing but, I've never seen this. I don't know what this is. What is this movie? Why is this movie getting nominated? Where's Spider-Man? I can answer that. Spider-Man's in Tick, Tick, Boom, and he didn't go very far, so there. So Brian says, I completed 3 of the big 8 categories for 2013. That was a really good year, by the way. I agree with Lupita Nyong'o for supporting actress and Alfonso Cuarón, take a shot, for director, but for lead actress, for me, I would have said Meryl Streep for August.
That's interesting.
Yeah, not many people would be on that train there, Brian.
Yeah, I was all about
Dench. That's just strange.
I was all about Dench and Bullock that year. Am I completely out of line to say that Blanchett and Blue Jasmine is completely overrated?
I mean, if you want to talk about Blanchett and overrated, we can go there if you really want to. But it's not Woody Allen we're talking about. It's Guillermo del Toro.
Well, with SAG being over, we don't have to worry about her anymore.
Better than Kelsey's nuts. I'm looking at the options here. It's right years. Nope.
Yeah, when you say 2013, only one thing I know, I say all the time that people get way too bent out of shape when something they want doesn't get in, but every now and then there are those ones that just sting forever.
Yeah.
Every time you say 2013, I immediately think of Hanks and Captain Phillips, and it still hurts.
I think of Hanks too, but I think of King. Take a shot. I think of Hanks and Saving Mr. Banks, though.
If anybody was a standout in Saving Mr. Banks, apart from Thompson, it'd be Colin Farrell.
100%.
But
all I remember from Captain Phillips is, I am the captain now. That's it.
And that's all the people that watched Bill and Ted that year remembered too, Ashley. Because I remember putting that over, and I'd be like, yeah, and this is the time that Barkod Abdi came out. And I was like, who's that? I don't have words for you people at all. I love how we're paused on the screen I have, but it doesn't matter because we're still retaining audience, so that works for me. Judge says the CCA I like that. Businessification. Critics' Choice co-host to Tay Diggs could be the tour guide on a tram and defending your life.
That's not too far away from what you said, is it?
No, honestly. Josie says Tay Diggs used to be married to Idina Menzel. Ooh, nice Brent connection. I appreciate that. Didn't know it either.
Yeah, I never knew that. I mean, it makes sense now that you put it that way.
I know AJ, Brian says, I know AJ is upset Will Smith went to the Critics' Choice instead of the BAFTAs. Still won anyway, what's it matter?
I do like that, like, Cumberbatch got to call that out on stage. Where what was it he said? You don't lose to Will Smith. Something. It was something respectful, but I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it makes sense he went to the Critics' Choice. That's the fact that he had Venus and Serena with him for the actual show. So it makes sense that he's here in the States instead of the UK.
Yeah.
And he was there for Tay Diggs' Fresh Prince reference, which I'm all for.
Yes.
And
Bel Air.
Considering what other stuff happened involving the Williams sisters.
I have plausible deniability. Cassie, welcome, Cassie. Josie says, Happy Mitchells versus the Machines won the Annie and the Critics' Choice. Glad to see it get love. Yeah, every year we talk about how the Annies means absolute jack, but it's great for visibility.
I do really like Mitchell's vs. the Machines. But I just honestly was really not expecting to have the connection that I do to Encanto. And I still say it's Miranda has this spell on me that I don't. That's only been happening in the last couple of years, but it's strong. Everything he touches, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
So I got a nice little addendum ski for that one. So I had a guest. Actually, I didn't have a guest. It was a guest next to me. That their name was Skylar. And
What the same?
They spelled it SCH, and they started it. And I looked at it. I was like, I pointed to her. I was like, Alexander Hamilton, and she just looked at me like, yeah. I was like, exactly. Coming from the guy that's never seen the thing.
We could also shout out Sissy Spacek's daughter. I think spells it the same way.
I'm also holding out hope that I will be able to get one of those like cheap day of tickets for the show that they offer for performances, like the lottery system they do. I didn't do good last time that happened, but maybe this time I will, because that's the only chance I think I have to see it. And I feel like if I'm going to watch Hamilton for the first time, it's not going to be on a television. It's going to be on the stage, just like nature intended. Then again, that's my thing about movies versus going to the theater versus streaming. So this is going to get real confusing because this is going to play into something we talked about earlier, but that's just how the show flows. So, Ashley, you have access to chat as well?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Because I had to reset the computer. Our screen is like frozen is what it looks like.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if it is or not, but please verify before we chat. There we go. Good Lord, there's so much to talk about. Let's see. Cassie says Titanic, even though it's a sad story, discount my favorite as well. Pirate Radio, good music, bad movie.
I don't know how much I remember about the movie.
Yeah, it was sort of. I mean, there was a lot of different stories. There was like the one where he wasn't actually the father or whatever. It was the other DJ or something. And then and then there was just Philip Seymour Hoffman being Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I'm fine with that.
And then Branner as the BBC.
The memory I have of Hoffman in it, this could just be memories intertwining and it's completely off. But I feel like I remember Hoffman coming off very similar to his Lester Bangs performance in Almost Famous.
1,000,000%.
That could be just memories crossing over and I'm wrong, but that's how I remember it.
Yes, I can officially confirm now Coda will be on the 25th, which is a Friday. And that's going to be at 4:10. So that's confirmed 100% now. Brian says I'll be seeing Captain Phillips soon. Josie says I love The Abyss. Brian says Life Aquatic. Josie says that counts as a submarine movie, doesn't it? Yeah. Submarine should count as a submarine movie too, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
There you go. AJ, you didn't mention Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I should have.
No, let's mention what we actually mean, and that's the African Queen.
Yeah,
that's Jungle Cruise.
Brian
just with less book. Jack Whitehall, and that's the best thing about that.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Green Book. Yeah, that sucks.
What did you say? What did you say about Jack Whitehall?
He's there with Corden. That's what I'm saying. He's on the list. He's on the list. He's on the list. Damn it! Ah!
Then Ashley becomes Nick Nolte and disappears for 5 minutes. Anyway, let's see. Green Book, Nomadland, Mad Max Fury Road, The Croods. Thoughts on Paris, Texas?
I love Paris, Texas. It's one of those movies that has like really long scenes, like kind of like what John McCarr does, where it has really long scenes, so you don't feel the runtime at all. And I think that the Nostalgic Kinski scene especially is like one of those ones where you could that scene could have gone on for like 5 hours and you would have never noticed. And it's so many people involved in it are gone now. With Sam Shepard wrote it, I think, and then Harry Dean Stanton and Dean Stockwell.
Dude, even speaking of that, we didn't even mention Fear and Loathing.
I'm not big on Fear and Loathing.
Not surprised. I know you well enough to know why you're not big on Fear and Loathing.
Is it because there's too much fucking vomit in it? That's what starts. I can't do it.
Well, don't forget my favorite Disney movie of all time is something that involves one of my least things I hate in the world. So there you go. First video game. Brian says the first Ice Age. Does Until the End of the World count?
What is that? You said that, is that a title? Until the End of the World?
I'm going with what Brian says.
Is it 1991?
I become the moderator in this case, as always.
Apparently it's a William Hurt movie, so it's unwelcome. Oh yes, I have seen that cover before, but I have not seen this movie. Okay, yes, I know what this is. Vaguely.
Josie brings up Rat Race.
Oh yeah, of course.
Rat Race.
I never knew just how many people love Rat Race, but it's a lot.
That's my response to you. And if I flip it upside down, it makes a Ready to Rumble reference. So there you go.
That was the first thing I thought of when you did that.
Yes. Screw you, Jay-Z. Speaking of Sesame Street, R.I.P. to Emilio Delgado.
Luis.
Yes. Luis. AJ, I don't know how much like growing up you did to Sesame Street, because I feel like it's kind of like somewhat like jumped the shark by the time that you became of age.
Yeah, I saw a couple of the movies. That's about it.
Right. Jillian brings up Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very good.
If you can see Bonnie and Clyde in a theater, I highly recommend that.
Nice.
That scene where like the cloud goes over the sun over the field is like incredible.
Let's see. Brian says it's all hurt in broadcast news.
Yeah.
Speaking of broadcast news, ooh, I never listened to it. Favorite Albert Brooks movie?
Well, I mean, it depends on where you're coming from, because immediately a part of me says Drive.
That's a fair freaking point.
But then you definitely want to look into his comedies. I always thought Lost in America was a little overrated, but I feel like I need to see it again. But I love Defending Your Life and I love Real Life. I think there's like a big one I'm forgetting.
Drive's one of the ones I'll always go to because it's like obviously it's us, so it makes sense why it would be. But
yeah.
AJ knows where I'm going to go with this. One of my favorite Albert Brooks performances is The Scout.
I was gonna say the question is, are we talking his directed movies or just anything he's been in? Because you can throw Nemo in there too.
Yes, that actually is what was said. Is either one.
And of course, his debut film role was actually Taxi Driver.
Nope.
Oh wow! I don't think I knew that was his first. I just got this amazing Blu-ray of Taxi Driver.
Nice.
I kind of feel the need to show off. If you want to keep talking.
That's fair. Brian says Defending Your Life is a masterpiece. Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, The Simpsons movie. Brian says, I agree with AJ. I have no idea what Blanchett and Hawkins were doing. Fair.
They were trying to do Streetcar. That's what they were trying to do.
That's a straight shoot right there. Brian says, aren't you forgetting Paul Giamatti as Ralph?
Is that Save Mr. Banks he's talking about?
Yeah.
Well, it's Paul Giamatti. He's reliable. That's all I remember.
So
Jason Schwartzman.
Safe hands.
Schwartzman's great too. Love Table.
Yeah.
Josie says, take a shot. So upset Benedict had lost the precursors. Okay, first off, Dwayne's energy drink is supposed to provide you like focus. I've had 2 in the last 2 days. I've taken a shot of major PBR many times in a not literal sense, but a verbal sense because I've messed up so many times. I think buyer beware when it comes to focus.
I'm trying to think of that thing where it's like, you know, the thing, it's about power, it's about that random rap thing that he does that's become the meme. That supposedly is the energy drink.
People going. Anyway.
Was this about Cumberbatch? Or was this a...
So upset Benedict had lost the precursors. I would want him to win over Will Smith. What a missed opportunity, robbing Benedict of the opportunity to thank Bronco Henry in his acceptance speech. Well, we're getting ready to talk BAFTAs. Actually, there's really only one thing that needs said right now. I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
Well,
and now we're talking about Walking Dead for 15 minutes.
And that is half the people couldn't be here tonight, so we're going to give them the award on our behalf.
That's tough because when we were ranking our favorite performances of the year in the categories,
Hmm.
I had Smith and Cumberbatch at 5 and 4, with Cumberbatch on top of him. But I mean, if you were asking me to choose between the two, obviously there I put Cumberbatch ahead of him, but I really love both. It's really hard. Like that's the thing though, is I have I just have a thing with Will Smith where, like I said, Fresh Prince basically saved my life when I was a teenager. So
Right.
so I've just got a personal connection to Will Smith anyway.
Fair.
But it's yeah, because Cumberbatch has got to eventually. Cumberbatch will have his win, but this would have been a really good one for him too. And I'm honestly surprised he didn't win last night. Quite honestly, even though we've been saying Will Smith all season, but
It proves how actual powerful Will Smith is at this point when it comes to a lock for an award. If Cumberbatch can't win BAFTA, then it's over. 100%.
At this rate, he's got like the selection power of Daniel Day-Lewis and the awards power of DiCaprio. Somewhere down the line, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
also I'm in that camp where I thought, I mean, yeah, the one line became like a meme and all that shit. But speaking of Albert Brooks, I was one in the camp that thought Smith got robbed of the nomination for Concussion. He was really great in that.
I agree.
But I know people just make fun of the tell the truth line, but I thought he was great.
Josie says Sissy Spacek's daughter was in Snow Day. Love that movie.
That's the first thing I think of when I think of her. Despite the fact that her mom is Sissy Spacek and her dad's one of the best production designers of all time.
I know these people's I know these people monologue from Paris, Texas gets me every time.
Oh, here's that Taxi Driver Blu-ray that opens, and it's the picture, it's the four of them, and then it's the scene with him and Scorsese inside, and then there's the the posters, and then just a bunch of like publicity stills, and it's incredible. And this was a lot cheaper than it probably should have been. It was. I was very happy to find it.
Very nice. Last but certainly not least, tie into another thing that's been posted on the channel recently with the Jaws stuff we did yesterday. The video before ties into this one. Who would win in a cooking battle between Stephen Graham and Boiling Point or Remy?
Oh, Stephen Graham and Boiling Point has his vices that might hold him back.
True.
And I don't remember if Remy was on cocaine or not. I think Patton Oswalt wished he was.
Yes, 100%. I remember he said.
By the way, one more note. This is an absolute pain in the ass on the shelf because this is the spine, and a regular Blu-ray is about this tall, and it starts back here. So this is sticking out like a sore thumb on the shelf, but I still love it anyway.
So it's like a video game cartridge from the 90s.
Yes, exactly.
It's like the big box video rentals if you got them from Blockbuster when they were just getting rid of them. It's like, it don't work with the rest.
Oh. You mean like my copy of The Importance of Being Earnest with Reese Witherspoon? Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'd say we're off the rails right now, but no, we're just having fun. Unlike the shows we watched last night, we'll get to that in a minute.
I want a tally of how many times you've said the awards. We'll get to that in just a minute.
When I finally get pizza in a few hours, once we end this thing, that's when we'll tally that up right now. Okay. Let's go.
So I guess chronologically, DGA. Not a huge amount of surprise. Well, there was one big surprise, I would say, and that is Questlove not getting DGA. Instead, it went to Stanley Nelson Jr. for Attica.
Makes me wonder what we're actually going with.
Yeah, because we've talked about how documentary has upsets at the Oscars.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't at other shows. And the question is if that happened, what would it be? We've been saying Flea.
Yeah.
Because it feels like Flea would have to win one of its categories. You would think. It doesn't necessarily have to, but you would think. But
what might be helping it is what is going on with Ukraine right now.
Yeah.
With the whole refugee thing. Certainly over here. I say that because I think most of the BAFTA voting was done before that sort of became as big as it did, so you couldn't really influence it. But I'm just wondering, with the sort of feeling that most people have towards it and everything, whether this will actually help Flea. I mean, it helps it over here because it's literally just come out available as a premium rental if people do want to see it, so it is out there.
But then again, this DGA obviously has in mind, like, oh, could it be Attica? But then you bring up Ukraine, and I'm not sure if I love him for it or felt very uncomfortable the way Michael Keaton blazed onto the Critics' Choice stage and said, yeah, all this humility is fake.
Certain humility is fake. That's what he should have said.
I mean, it seemed deliberate because Keaton was right between Ukraine-themed speeches.
True.
I mean, Hannah Waddingham seemed pretty sincere, but I mean, Keaton knows all those people, so I don't know if It kind of reminds me of when Mickey Rourke was in the season for The Wrestler, and he was just dropping bombs on everybody. Like, I'm poor phrasing there. When he was talking about like Sean Penn and stuff like that, how like oh, Sean Penn won for Milk, but he's the biggest homophobe I know. Stuff like that.
Didn't really read the room the right way at that time.
I'm just trying to get as far past that faux pas I just made as quickly as possible.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Continue.
Maggie Gyllenhaal did win for first time feature, which I guess that aids her chances possibly in terms of screenplay stuff.
I mean, if someone's taking Campion down, I think that's your contender right there.
Adapted screenplay is getting wild.
Yeah, it is.
And then
That's a better choice for taking down Campion. We'll get to that later.
part 1 of 3 is Jane Campion getting best DGA for feature film for Power of the Doog.
The thing we were talking about, where it's the picture race can always be interesting. It's usually the director race is almost always the most boring one, because the director race is usually the one that's the one answer the whole way through. The person that's always gonna forever throw a wrench in this is what happened to Mendez recently.
Yeah.
Because I would have bet, even though I was predicting Parasite to win picture when it won picture.
Right.
I would have put my entire house down on Mendez and director, and I would have lost everything. So, but then again, and the fact that, like, if you want to talk about our contenders here, all the things that seem to be threatening Power of the Dog don't even have a director nomination, so
Yeah.
there's no way this isn't the end of the director race.
Well, a lot of people weren't happy with her comments, but we'll get to that.
Because she called Sam Elliott a bitch.
No, not that. The Critics' Choice comments.
When she like, because I knew it was happening, when she was winning, I left the room. So did she say something controversial?
Basically, she said props to Serena and Venus, except you're not actually competing against the other men.
I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this. Honestly, can we find a way to bring her down so she does not win at all on Oscar Sunday?
That's the thing. According to some of the sources, like, some people in the Academy didn't appreciate that slight.
Good, it's about time.
So maybe she's shot herself in the foot, you know. And keep in mind, the Oscar voting, I think, starts like tomorrow.
Oh, there's still time. Get on that, please.
No voting's actually happened yet.
There's still time.
I feel like we never see it, but I always wonder how many people in the industry feel the way we do when something's winning too much and they get sick of it. Does that happen within the industry? Because
I'm sure it does. Maybe to a lesser
happens way too often. But you have to imagine people get kind of tired of that. But especially when it's like I was saying, I could wait till we get to that, but this seems like a proper enough segue. What Power of the Dog did at BAFTA is really suspicious, isn't it?
A little bit.
Only winning the top 2 categories reeks of we're doing this because we feel like we're supposed to because everybody else is.
Yep.
And did you notice also, maybe this was me imagining things, but all the applause for Power of the Dog clips felt a little delayed.
Yep.
Like when other people were coming up, it was like instantaneous clapping, and then whenever there was a Power of the Dog clip, like halfway through the clip, oh shit, yeah, it's Power of the Dog. We have to react this way because that's the way everybody else is.
Pause, please.
And it's like that's really weird to not even get one single tech and then get director and picture at the last. Director, I guess, is one thing, but to get picture at the very last minute feels very only doing this because we feel like we're supposed to. And I don't really get what the drive is there, because it's not like it's making some big statement or anything. It's the Power of the Dog.
Yeah.
It's like you could say the subject matter, but I'd like to think we're long past that being something profound that needs to be like when Brokeback was a thing, and even Brokeback lost.
Yeah, it did. My biggest ever.
So I don't know. Because you could say the subject matter is what helped Moonlight, but I think Moonlight won because Moonlight's fucking amazing. I think people just agree.
I don't know what you're talking about. I kind of tuned out after that happened, so.
I've just double checked. Final voting begins on the 17th until the 22nd.
There's still time.
So I don't want to make it sound like the Power of the Dog isn't great, because it is, especially the more you see it. Like, I can't recommend enough seeing Power of the Dog multiple times, if possible.
It got better the second time, I agree.
Because it's so layered. Even if it seems like there's things that are surface level, there's still things under there. Even farther below.
But all this stuff happens, and, you know, her comments get it negatively, and despite having either 11 or 12 nominations, whatever it is, it gets nothing.
Yeah.
Do you really think Netflix are going to be happy? Considering all these, we've got to thank Netflix.
It's like, let's say a Parasite-like thing happens. Like, let's say Power of the Dog and Jane Campion are 1917 and Sam Mendes. If it goes the way of BAFTA, that would mean that Power of the Dog blanked on 12 nominations. I don't think that happened. I think the highest is 10 that people have blanked on.
American Hustle, AJ.
Yeah, 10. That's 10. That's part of the 10.
David O. Russell's American Hustle.
I will never forget the day that I went down with the worst ship of ever predicting any season we've ever done.
Because I'm going to be honest with you. I was thinking about what I'm going to do Oscar prediction-wise. And you would think there'd be at least one tech that Power of the Dog was a shoe-in for.
There's not.
And there is. The only ones would be cinematography or editing. And to be honest, I think I have my cinematography pick. And, I mean, the guilds aren't completely trustworthy. But the King Richard Tick Tick Boom win at the editing guild kind of has eyes on those.
Yep.
I remember when King Richard's nomination for editing was a surprise. I mean, not to me, but to most.
Same.
Sorry, I will brag about that forever. But I was trying to remember especially going on Critics' Choice, not that they matter, but they just put it in my mind. I was trying to remember, West Side Story didn't make editing, did it? Because I think every time West Side Story got nominated, Tick Tick Boom didn't, and vice versa. If I remember correctly.
Actually, that's on you. You got the stuff.
I've got here. Yeah, editing is Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom. Power of the Dog could still take editing. Honestly, maybe I'll just go ahead and show my hand here real quick. I was gonna save this, but I was talking about how when we were predicting BAFTA, I said that Nightmare Alley for cinematography seemed like an Oscar move, and I can imagine them going for Nightmare Alley. After rewatching it, I may place my bet on West Side Story and cinematography.
That may not be a bad idea.
So that would and they've lost their supporting actor frontrunner because Troy Kotzer's ready to go.
It's 100% over now.
There might be a reason then to cover the Satellite Awards. I've just noticed the Satellite Awards do have Tick Tick Boom and Power of the Dog against each other in editing.
Oh.
The thing that's gonna tell us that Power of the Dog is not 1917 is if it wins adapted. But Lost Daughter and Coda are surrounding it like the guys in skeleton costumes around the Karate Kid.
Yep.
So the only things that Power of the Dog feels like a shoe-in for are picture and director. That's fucking weird.
Yeah, very much so.
That's really weird. And like I said, kind of suspicious. I don't know what I'm suspecting, but it's suspicious. Unless what I'm suspecting is people are just blank following the leader.
It's very possible. Don't forget, we talk about the Spirit Awards trying to predict the Oscars.
And we're seeing it in full force here. With Critics' Choice, where it's like, we're all over the place with the award shows from last night. I mean, please be completely honest with me, everybody that can hear this. I really love that Troy Kotsur is winning everything. He wouldn't be my choice. Of the nominees, he might be my choice. But, yeah. And he's really deserving, and he's really owning this, and I love it.
Heck yeah.
But be completely honest with me. If the Critics' Choice Awards were 2 months ago, before Kotsur had won anything except Gotham, Cody Smith McPhee would have won last night.
It's very possible.
I cannot see Critics' Choice making the conscious decision to go with Troy Coates on their own.
No. They were coaxed into it.
Cody Smith McPhee had everything. When we did our prediction video 2 months in advance, because we didn't know when the fucking show was, we all said Cody Smith McPhee, and I guarantee we would have been right on that if the show had just been in a different place.
Right.
So, momentum's like we were talking about with Spirit Awards, like you were saying, momentum is a really weird thing. And I don't get how, if you have the power to vote, why wouldn't you vote on what you want? And I don't want to necessarily, assume that people are following that. Maybe just everybody just happens to love every actor the same at the same time.
Sure.
But I know this is an ancient thing I'm talking about here, and momentum's always been a thing, and suspicious wins have always been a thing. Like Ali. Like I like Ali in Moonlight is amazing, of course. But it's also very downplayed and very brief. It's weird to me how much he won that season. And every time he would win, it's like, do you really feel that way, though? When you had Bridges and Hell or High Water, you had Shannon there and Tyler Johnson over there, you had Dev Patel and Lion. It's yeah. And it's like, this is how I feel. Coming full circle, what I'm getting at is, in acting categories, whatever. But this Power of the Dog Love and Picture, it feels like people are being strong-armed into it. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about it. And it's more so than usual because this only picture director thing is specifically weird. Like, yeah, momentum's always been a thing. Yeah, people have always voted on the same things all the time before. But it's really weird this year, the Power of the Dog, that it's not getting anything else anywhere. The guilds are beating the shit out of it.
Right.
It's taking a beating everywhere. At every show, it's taking a beating. It's Critics' Choice with its cinematography win is the best it's done for a while.
Yeah.
It's really weird. And the fact that Cumberbatch isn't getting a single big win, Cody McPhee's not making any sort of comeback against Troy Coates,
He's not going to.
if Power of the Dog really wins Oscars for Just Picture and Director, I'm seriously calling bullshit.
Yeah. God, I hate that. Yeah, so hate to bring the mood down after everything. I was worried it was going to happen during the show, and it did.
Pretty much as we came on air, I think, in all honesty. Well, no.
After about 20 minutes ago, Sean Waltman just tweeted out he's going. So, yeah, we definitely want to pay homage to the memory of the late Scott Oliver Hall and his passing today.
Kevin,
it is a sad day in the wrestling industry and a sad day in general.
Kevin Owens apparently started Raw because he's doing his promo bit for his angle with Steve Austin by saying "Hey yo."
Excellent, very nice.
I hope this isn't too inappropriate, but it almost feels right that this was a Monday.
Yeah.
Because I know that's when like a lot of wrestling events are, and then when I was really into it, it was on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, Fuji's right now. Hall used to come out on house shows to Ready or Not, which was a weird entrance theme to say the least, and it never made it to television. It was in ECW once, because he did that job match in ECW a long time ago. One time.
It was also he used it in his New Japan run.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Because I remember.
I saw that random clip today of him beating a young Hiroshi Tanahashi, and 21 years on, you know.
Right, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was telling AJ on the phone, honestly, if Vince McMahon never saw the movie Scarface and Scott Hall didn't come up with the Razor Ramon character, we wouldn't have what we have today. A true icon in professional wrestling. He battled his demons literally all the way to the very end. So we definitely want to pay tribute to Scott Hall today. And weirdly enough, as it is to say now, with all these issues, it feels like this screen is like frozen. I don't know if anybody in chat can see it, but for me, it feels like I'm standing here with the Dark Order claw for the rest of time, apparently, because of that. It literally looks like I'm Dark Order. So, I mean, like, well, I am. I got the mask back there anyway, but still, at the point. Lots of chat to get through. I hate that having to keep bringing the show down a bit, but yeah, I definitely wanted to say something since we don't have a wrestling show on here anymore. But I definitely wanted. I love Too Sweet to Everyone today, 100%. Josie says, I hate political speeches, but PTA should bring up the gas crisis reference in the movie and connect it to today. If someone let him talk, maybe. They're bound to determine not to do anything.
He is somebody without a filter. We can probably just, I mean, bringing all losing at BAFTA, specifically BAFTA, feels pretty big. I must just want to say, when Paul Thomas Anderson gives his acceptance speech at the Oscars, that is a man with no filter. I kind of can't wait to see what happens. Do you remember?
Amazing.
Do you remember when Inherent Vice got the Robert Altman Award at the Spirit Awards?
Yes.
And they were sponsored by American Airlines, and he began his speech with, "Do not trust American Airlines; they will lose your fucking luggage."
Sounds about right.
About that thing, I remember I was talking about that thing I saw on Twitter, on Facebook, about how there was a song a long time ago, like an alt rock song, I believe what it was, is like that, like so and so airlines lost my guitar. And that was around the same time of that because I remember bringing it up. Josie says, thoughts on Secretary.
What was that?
Thoughts on Secretary.
Well, that's, I don't know how to word this. That's not my that's not my area. Yet somehow that movie is still hot as fuck. Like that's not my thing, but it's like that movie gets to you in that way.
I mean, it walked so 50 Shades could run.
And it introduced me to Cake's version of I Will Survive, which, dare I say, might be the superior one.
Ooh. You're not wrong, though. I do enjoy that version. But every time I think of I Will Survive, it always reminds me of Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Even over the finale of Man on the Moon?
Oh, God. I Will Survive? Yes, absolutely. Tony Clifton for the win. Josie says, the piano or Power of the Dog? Which one do you like better?
I haven't seen the piano in so long.
Damn.
I feel like, oh my god, I'm not even sure I'm equipped to give a full opinion on the piano because I don't know that I would have been mature enough for it when I saw it.
Fair.
But so offhand, I want to say that Power of the Dog like felt more impactful, but I've definitely got to get a rewatch of the piano in before I say that for sure. I mean, my memory of the movie itself is vivid. Like I remember the things that happen in it, but I feel like it would take a viewing to get like an emotional impact out of it.
Sure. So Josie is an interesting prospect here, which I find very interesting, and I'd love to see it happen. I wonder if International Academy members who would have voted for Campion will vote for Hamaguchi instead, taking votes away.
I've wondered where Hamaguchi is in this. I
like this idea. Make this happen.
Now, are we saying, are those votes bringing Hamaguchi? If this hypothetical were happening, would that be bringing Hamaguchi to the top, or just taking away from Campion? Is the question.
I would say taking away from Campion.
Which would put... I keep wanting to say, if for some reason the impossible happened and Campion fell behind, who's next? Based on nominations, I'm thinking it would be Branagh. But Belfast has been having a very
Top
season.
season.
Yeah, like sometimes it's on top, and then sometimes it's not.
And then you got to throw out Spielberg as well as an option. Can't forget that idea.
Yeah, he'd be the safe choice because we were saying all season. I was building up the idea of Licorice Pizza overperforming in a really big way, and then that didn't happen at all. And I was saying it was because they feel like they're aching to give PTA a win, but it sounds like they're going to. It just won't be director and picture yet.
So it's the Tarantino effect all over again.
Yeah.
100% in every way possible. Speaking of that, Josie says the other directing contenders are making smear campaign ads now.
Is that a joke or for real?
I'm not exactly sure.
I think it's a joke. I think.
I was gonna say, I think smear campaigns are against the rules, aren't they?
Benny Safdie says there was.
I was like, what does it say about the state of this that I didn't know if that was a joke or not?
Let's see. I have a hard time believing Power of the Dog would win with just director. Josie, I mean, you're throwing out a valid point that I feel like we're all like picking up what you're putting down at this point. I feel like we're all on the same page here. And you're the librarian, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so I know we're doing this early, but I really need to have a discussion. I kind of really want to talk about editing. Because obviously, all three of us were right that BAFTA is not helping in that department.
Not at all.
So Critics' Choice went for something that's not nominated. So, I mean, I feel I don't want to be wishful thinking here, but I would like to think if we're talking tech categories and nobody knows what to do with tech categories, they will fall on the safe choice. And the safe choice in all the tech categories is, of course... Thank you. But I mean, we've seen stuff like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo happen.
True.
Where you don't have to be, a big 8 movie to win editing. So Tick Tick Boom, I feel like, isn't impossible.
I love that.
But the question is, the reason I ask this is because it would be, once again, much like adapted screenplay, we know the direction we're heading if Power of the Dog should take this. So I guess the question when it comes to like editing and cinematography, these up in the air categories are, if they don't know what to do, are they going to fall back on Power of the Dog or are they going to fall back on Dune? Or neither, because like I said, Nightmare Alley I feel like could just as easily take cinematography, and like my bet may very well be on West Side Story and cinematography.
What do we have in the edit? What's the Oscar lineup for editing right now? Because obviously I know where direction.
Don't Look Up, Dune,
King Richard, Power of the Dog, and Tick Tick Boom.
And Dune won the BAFTA, right?
No Time to Die. Yeah.
Oh no!
You mean editing or cinematography?
Yeah.
Yeah, editing was No Time to Die at BAFTA.
Okay, did it win Critics' Choice? I thought Dune won editing, because I was
no, West Side Story.
Okay, why did I see Dune winning something? Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay.
Were you looking at cinematography, maybe?
Maybe. But yeah, it's weird because we've been championing King Richard the whole season, and it's more and more likely that it could possibly happen. And with the Eddie win the other night, I mean, it's very possible. I love Tick Tick Boom to win something. I'd rather it be Andrew Garfield, but that's not happening. So that's the only option we got right now is it to win editing. Which I've made the Whiplash comparison time to time. Not what the movie is, but just the fact that it's a movie that I went for that was music based and something that I identified with for different reasons. And that's exactly what Whiplash was, and that's exactly what Tick Tick Boom is.
You know what's crazy? Whiplash had more wins than Tick Tick Boom does nominations.
That's God, there's so many messages. Sorry, everyone. I'm trying to get to it. We're getting there.
Also, I have looked into it. Yes, Owen is going to look like he's in the Dark Order for the rest of the thing, unless I hang on. Technical thing. If I stop streaming from OBS